Hello, everyone. So today we have some sober news for you and something that maybe some of you have expected, quite honestly. But Bill Barr coming out saying that the DOJ has not found widespread voter fraud. And we can go down a vast list of different things that the Democrats have been accused of thus far. And some things are actually legal in nature and have legal documentation. So it's valid proof that it has occurred. Now, what we're saying here and what the DOJ is saying here is that there's not wide-scale voter fraud. They expect small scale. They just do not expect large scale. And they're saying that they didn't find it. So we want to go down a list of things that we think are very pertinent to this discussion. And when they're saying that these things haven't happened, we actually want to question them pretty harshly. First of all, there was a woman that was caught in Buffalo. She was trying to go over the border and get the ballots that she had in her hand thrown out. She crossed the border with these ballots and was arrested. This is valid paperwork that went through the court system. And here's the thing. That proves that at least somebody was participating in it. And we can't say that it's an isolated incident. How many other people did this similar thing? Just throwing things in the trash, going over the border, throwing stuff in the water, whatever. And they did it to people who they knew were MAGA people, that they knew were going to vote for Trump. How many times did that happen? We warned people over and over, don't wear your MAGA gear too often, too much, because what's going to happen is people are going to target you and steal your vote. And we see that this is something that has happened. And this is one isolated incident. However, there's probably more to it. We also had a situation where a woman, and this is again another documented incident, where a woman went to elderly homes and took their ballots, signed what she wanted to in them, and then sent them in on their behalf. She basically voted for them. We hear the story goes from like 80 to 150. So they don't really know how many she actually did this with, but it was done. And again, we have to ask the question, how many states, how many counties, how many towns was this done in? Was this just one isolated incident? And we don't think it could be. It's not really possible that this only happens in one area. And this is two incidents of this happening. We have another incident of people who are watching the counters are being blocked from seeing these type of things. There are several instances where we have on film where they have violated the 6-foot rule for the purposes of being able to avoid being watched while counting. If a Democrat is against the wall, no one can go against the wall and see through the wall to see what they're counting. So they've put all of the tables around the edges of the wall and counted there. The only place for anyone to watch the counters is from the middle, and they can't see. None of this election seems fair at all, and honestly, we feel like the whole entire election should be redone without the COVID overtone. To say that this election is squeaky clean is not something that the DOJ, the FBI, or anyone should be able to say. You have a particular situation, such as the COVID pandemic, that is causing everything to be misaligned. It's not exactly the way it should be. And we all should be able to agree on that no matter where our party lines are. Everything has been affected by COVID. Everything. And the fact of the matter is, the same situation should be applied to our voting system. We have other incidents where there are turnouts of 100% in certain precincts. Now, just keep in mind, most precincts consider it above average if they can get 71% of the registered voters to show up. Anyone having 90 to 100% showing up of all the registered voters in any town, city, or state is absolutely not true. You can hardly ever see that. So we're meant to believe that the politics of the era was so strong that every single person, there was no tire that went flat, there was no person that got sick from COVID, there was nothing that stopped not a single person that was registered from voting. And we see that in several towns, in several cities, and ironically enough, it's in key states that it really mattered. We had votes that were counted later on than they should have been. We have multiple witnesses saying that this stuff occurred, that Republicans were kicked out. We have instances of voter intimidation. We have instances of people actually taking the ballot boxes and ripping them up out of the ground and putting them in isolated locations. And all of this is coming from a person who took a job from Trump and turned around and said Epstein did not kill himself. Remember, same guy that went on television and said that Epstein did not kill himself. You're talking about the first person in that facility, under suicide watch or not, that has claimed their life under suicide. And it happened to be that one person, that one billionaire, that one guy that had all the connections to multiple politicians. It just seems kind of convenient that that happens. And again, the votes here seem very convenient as well. Also remember about Bill Barr. He was a crony for the Bush family. If you followed that lineage down the path of Skull and Bones all the way to CIA, and this is the Bush family in a nutshell. So if you want to claim a deep state puppet, maybe Bill Barr is. We actually think Bill Barr was a pretty stand-up guy. However, not one conviction of any deep state terrorist, not one person did you convict and get them out of government. Not one. What use are you if you're not going after the deep state? What have you done? I would actually argue that Bill Barr has really become a traitor to the American people. And I would go a little further and say that Bill Barr has probably taken up whatever the Bushes want. Now remember, the Bush family had a pool party / vote party at their home. Everybody surrounded the pool, signed their vote off for Hillary. Everybody had a good time. And again, this is an ex-president. At this point, we actually implore Trump. This should be your catch-22 to the media, to the liberals, to the Democrat Party, to the globalists. Just burn it all down. We suggest outside of nuclear stuff and stuff that would actually be beneficial to our enemies, go ahead and release all of the top secret information to the general public. Every little bit of it you can, just as a big FU to the Democrat Party on your way out. Because if you're not going to be the head honcho and they're not going to let you play by their own rules, then go ahead and destroy the establishment. They were doing that long before you ever did, Trump. We've watched these Democrats for years usurp our system, lie to us in all of our faces, lie to the very people that they say they care about. And we had enough of it, you had enough of it, but there's nothing we can really do more than Trump himself has done. Trump put a really good fight up, but the deep state is just too big, too vast. Reporters are being threatened. We see these Antifa puppets that go through long links to do whatever people like George Soros say. And again, people like George Soros have a deep wallet. So suffice it to say, they can pay for whoever to be offed whenever they want to. Matter of fact, we have one judge who lost her husband and her son, where a so-called FedEx driver, somebody who had a FedEx uniform, went in and shot her family up, and she just so happened to be down in the basement when it occurred. She went up there to find her family all shot up. And this was a judge that this happened to. The deep state is in fact real. Democrats will come out and deny this fact as if something like that could never ever happen within their government. But the fact of the matter is there's always a deep state in all governance. Every government ever has had a deep state. There have been people that have been against your government inside your government. What do you think the Emperor Nero stuff was all about to begin with? To show us all that your own people can go after the leader. And in that situation, maybe it was warranted. But the point being is that there are usurpers. There are people out there that will win by any means necessary. They've run around saying resist. It seems all too obvious when Biden himself is getting on a stage saying on national television that he put together the biggest fraud organization in American history. You want to add an anti to that? But instead, he just comes out and says that they built a group for fraud. These Democrats can come out and call Trump a sore loser all they want. The man told you flat out early on that he was being hunted, he was being spied on. These people were trying to go after the people around him. He's not going to give up because there's no reason to give up. Would you give up towards your quote-unquote enemy? Just go ahead and take a loss. That kind of tells you what kind of person you are if you're willing to go ahead and just convince yourself that you've lost. Nothing's ever lost until you give up. The minute you give up on it, then it truly is lost. We want to know why the FBI is now currently opening up an investigation into the data collected by Matt Braynor, and why Sidney Powell's information is just supposed to be thrown out. We're just not going to give it any credence. We're showing you election fraud. You're asking for election fraud. Show us the proof, and we've shown proof. The choice of just ignoring it or flat out being ignorant about it is on you. But when you're shown election fraud, in any context, whether it's 1 ballot or 100 million ballots, it doesn't matter. If you get 1, there's a good chance that you're going to get 2, maybe 3, maybe 10, maybe 100 fraud incidents. We've actually had Rudy Giuliani come out and say that there was 250 instances of voter fraud. Has the DOJ looked at every single one of those cases? Because that's what it takes. Look at every single one. We say Bill Barr is being threatened or is just flat out being told what to do by the Bush family. Because he hasn't taken Trump's side, and all the people that originally were on Bill Barr and Trump for being these best buddies, do you see them being best buddies anymore? See how wrong you were? The deep state runs deep. And people will threaten you. We've seen it with our own eyes. If you believe the wrong thing, we will come after you. They went after his legal team. Trump's legal team was being attacked, and they flat out and came out and said, we don't want to be in this political light. People are attacking us, and we're out. That's what they did, because they don't want their families attacked. The proof is in the pudding that these people will attack your homes, attack your family while you're away. They went to Tucker Carlson's house from Fox News, went to his home while he wasn't even at home, tried to break down the door, painted all kinds of anarchy stickers all over his front garage door and on his lawn, scared his wife and children like crazy. You don't see people from the Trump side doing wicked stuff like that. Michael Flynn was put in jail over FBI guys that didn't even let him know he was under investigation. For God's sake, at least let someone know that the FBI are currently investigating you. Just let someone stick their foot in their mouth. In Comey's own words, we just thought it would be a good idea to send a couple guys by that day. You're just going to send a couple guys by that day and see what happens. We can see if we can get anybody incriminated. And their response to that was, so great. Well, what do you want us to do? Get him fired? Do you want him to go to jail? What do you want to do? As if that's something that you're allowed to sit back and just decide on a whim like that. No judge, no nothing. You just decide what this person's future is going to be. And they decided to throw him in jail. You have Mr. Stone, who at like 5 a.m, somehow magically CNN knew that the FBI were going to raid him. No other news source knew that, just CNN. It was never called in. No one ever said that, Roger Stone was going to get raided. In the middle of the night, a guy with a van sitting outside. They just happen to have that, right? And the FBI just happened to raid Roger Stone's house as if he was part of the Cuban mafia. Boats from the back, helicopters from the top, police dogs, everybody everywhere for one old guy in boxers. All for supporting Trump. The same man supported Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, and he was still untouchable until he worked for Trump. And you can say, Trump people are really butthurt, and they are a little bit. They've got to be. Everybody has to be. Everyone should be. Because this is an attack on your democracy. This is an attack on your freedoms. If the DOJ's not willing to actually investigate anything, then what hope does the rest of us really have for anything? Our local Justice Department's going to have our back. Are they going to protect us? Or are they going to cave into pressure of activists, hacktivists, liberals, and communists? We have people out here in this society nowadays that are complete nihilists. They won't even admit it themselves, but they're complete nihilists. They would rather the world burn. We are the horrible people that have tainted the planet. They would go against your own people and have the destruction of the world because they think that would make the world a cleaner place. We've done videos on Bill Barr, and we had real high hopes for the man. We would like to know where Durham is as well. Durham has kept quiet, and Bill Barr really hasn't done anything that he's claimed he was going to do. And Trump really did have a lot of faith in the guy, and unfortunately, we're not going to find out anything about any deep state. We're not going to get Hillary in jail. We're not going to get all these people that are corrupt politicians in jail. All of this talk about everything being a part of a plan, that plan must have failed because we have a democracy that's allowing every cotton-picking thing the Democrats want. And that's not really a democracy. That's not even a republic. The Democrats want global greenhouse gases down to zero, and boy howdy, they're going to get it. Come hell or high water. We see this bipartisan crap from the Republicans, but man, the Democrats stick together on every little topic. And unfortunately, America's going to go the route of the Democrat no matter what. And unless America gets off their butts and says no more, and takes this literally to the streets and literally shuts down the country, we're not going to see any change. Trump did everything he could to change the country, and we're not going to see any change. It's going to be the same hunky-dory thing as it always has been, because these people are indeed untouchable. They will buy someone out or they will destroy them. And Bill Barr, he's been off the hook for a little while in the media. He hasn't been attacked and flamed out in the media for the past few months. COVID has been more important. Maybe he doesn't want to be back under that bad spotlight once again. Maybe he doesn't want to be attacked by these left-wing liberal nut jobs that will make his life a miserable reality. And the tolerant left, for as much as they claim all their tolerance, they're the ones that have people going to people's houses, threatening them, shooting them, etc. Vote for Trump and we're going to put you on a list and attack you. This is the Democrats of today, where they're willing to put you on a list. Be activists at your home, at your work, at anywhere. Take your work from you even. Take your very livelihood. Punish your children for your actions. All because of your beliefs. All because of what you think is right and just. And in America, we see people like Bill Barr come and go all the time. People say that they're for the Constitution and they want to help. And then simultaneously, weeks later, we hear, oh, there's no shenanigans going on here. If there weren't any shenanigans, Mr. Barr, then why in the world were you even investigating in the first place? Why are the Dominion voter machines owners just hiding out? They will not respond to a court hearing. Why is it that you have larger turnouts anywhere else in the country ever? And why is it that someone like Biden, of all people, got more votes than Obama, the demigod, Democrat leader? Please explain all of that to us. None of it honestly makes any sense. And the deep state nut jobs that are out there, we hope that they get their just desserts. One day, maybe the shoe will be on the other foot. There's no point in having a two-party system. And all the Democrats do is play their party line. And the irony is that we're all better off down the middle of the line. A little Republican here, a little Democrat there. That would be a lot better for America. But Democrats as a whole, they have a real perfectionist ego. They think that everything is right in their world. And unfortunately, the rest of America is going to pay for it. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, a good morning, a good night, whichever. Please like, share, and subscribe. We really do appreciate that around here. Click that subscribe button. Also, leave a comment down below. We like to talk with you. We like to pick your brain. And if you have any ideas for new videos, drop a comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell. If you forget to hit the notification bell, you might have a problem getting our videos. God bless each and every one of you. See ya.